Understand how innocent kids are. A 3-year-old, for her, COVID-19 and coronavirus means you stay at home and you play in the balcony and you don't go out. That's how innocent it is. You don't go to meet your friends and you only play in the balcony. And you make and something is broken. And what is she making? A fishing rod. I wonder if Kirti was to go on talking to her, because that's the play therapy that she uses, she would come up with a whole story around.
I'm sure.
I'm sure. And it'll be a beautiful story for us to weave.
Yeah.
But there is something for us adults to understand, that somewhere these kids, in their innocence, are talking to us and saying things in a very nice manner that we are not, it's like we can bluff ourselves. They don't bluff, they just talk their heart out. So thank you so much, Amy, for that honest conversation that you had with us, that you would like to go out and you don't want to be just crammed in a balcony with your fishing rod and the broken toy that you're creating. Thank you. Over to Kirti. Thank you so much, Kirti. I will introduce once again, because for the recording purposes, this will again go. So Kirti came into my life many, many years back. And she's been doing workshops from Shubha International. I've been doing workshops from there. And something that she does really fascinated me, and I reached her workshop. That's family constellations. I've sat in many of her family constellation workshops, just sitting down and observing. Very rarely putting a case on the floor, but always observing. It helped me to unravel a lot around my life. Sitting there and just observing and sorting my things out in my head. Thank you, Kirti, for that. You created that space, which was very loving. You never made me uncomfortable. I was always comfortable in your. I've learned play therapy from her. I've also learned metaphor therapy from her. So many years back, there was a gentleman who came in my life who committed suicide. And after he committed suicide, I wanted to understand what his drawings were talking to me. I was using drawings already because Bernie Siegel had come into my life before Kirti did. I met him in Estonia, not in person, but over the screen, just like this. He was in US and he was giving us a lecture which went on for about 2 hours. And then I met him again in US, but whatever little I knew from him, my curiosity for drawings had already come up. But how to weave them and integrate it more, I didn't know. And then Kirti came into my life. So I walked to her very late, actually. I wish I'd walked to her a little more earlier. So her first glimpse in my life was Renuka Rao was a girl who used to help me out in my work. And Renuka was sitting outside and with Kirti, and they had created drawings for the whole group, and we had then organized all of them to be there in the workshop, and my curiosity was up. I still remember what I had drawn.
Even I remember.
You remember?
Yes.
And you were very diplomatic. I love that about you. Even if you could see certain things, you'd never question me. And I knew so beautifully, she said, oh, you know what? She's so spiritually inclined, and that's why she's grown, and that's why she's showing what she's showing. It was partly true, but partly it was bullshitting. We both knew it. We both looked at each other, glanced, smiled, and kept quiet. And that's happened a number of times. When I went to learn in her drawing class, I still remember again what I had drawn. And she looked at me and I looked at her, and we both smiled again. So we've been doing a lot of that. And the best part of her is you must learn sand therapy from her. And I was actually looking forward to doing the courses. I don't know whether they're going to be happening or not, but sand therapy really takes the cake and the icing. She is amazing with it. Something that I hadn't picked up for myself, because talk therapy is talk therapy. Something that I hadn't picked up for myself, she picked it up on that day. It was straight on my face. Straight on my face. I didn't have to look at her and say, wow, every time I come here, I have an insight about my life. I thought I have achieved it. Sorry, I haven't. I go back home and I worked on it. So thank you so much, Kirti. And you are an encyclopedia of knowledge. The one thing that I admire about you, you stay within the boundaries. I've not been that person. I will go all over the place, but you've stuck to what appeals you. There will be a time when I will come and even do I'm already a facilitator in family constellation. I've learned under Bert Hellinger also, but I want to learn how you do it also, because these are different styles, different people, and you're not learning. It's like you're learning different styles of the same ingredients. It's the same vegetables, but it's a Maharashtrian style, it's a Bert Hellinger style, it's Revati style, and I need the Kirti Bakshi style also. So I will come back when I'm slightly more ready. Guys, please mute yourself. Thank you. So, Kirti, over to you for the next however long you want. We have all the time in the world. You can do whatever you feel like. The playground is yours today. The play is yours. And we are all that small little puppets where you can place us wherever you want. Thank you so much.
You for this introduction, Anu. So I don't have much to say, guys, because I know we are here from 60 days. So much has been said. Almost everything is covered, and I'd just be kind of repeating. But I just be sharing with you all, what this entire Corona lockdown brought to my awareness and to my consciousness. So I just thought suddenly life went on a pause. Everything is paused, and it's a very pregnant pause. We don't know what it's going to deliver.
Kirti, they're saying your voice is not very clear.
Okay,
So
can you
it's,
hear me now?
yes, now it's better. Thank
Yep.
you.
So, this coronavirus brought everything to a pause. It's not a halt, it's a pause, and it's a very pregnant pause. We don't know what is it going to bring, what is it going to deliver to us. We are definitely witnessing changing times. Maybe 50 years later, when we sit down with our grandchildren or with the next generation, we'll actually tell them we were a witness to this dynamic change in the social structure that really happened. And everybody went from, hyperactively engaging in processes of life to a sudden situation where they could do nothing. And that went on for 6 months, maybe a year. And yeah, this experience will stay with us forever. So the pause. Now, pause is an important part of life, which is enforced upon us if we don't bring it ourselves. And I think we have not had the time, none of us have had the time to bring in the pause. So this is here we are with the pause. And when we sit in this pause, we don't know what to do. We don't know what to do with ourselves. We don't have friends to go out and meet. We don't have restaurants to go out and eat. So we don't know what to do with ourselves. And so half heartedly, we move towards, okay, let's grow and develop. If there's nothing else we can do, let us at least do that. Well, that's not the least, that's the most we can do. So I have been doing a lot of this introspection of recent, and I have come to understand that, we have become such fuzzy layers of the mind, body, and intellect that we no longer can discriminate. I'm talking for myself, friends, okay? So I'm just sharing with you all what I have seen, what I've seen happening to me. So when I sit down to meditate, I can see all the thoughts, and you can use all the kinds of techniques that one learns in meditation. But then quietening the mind, it becomes so much difficult. There are days you can just get it right there, and then there are days when you really have a situation and you need to quieten the mind. It doesn't happen because we have just been on the go. We are so much into the doing that whenever once in a while we try to come back to being, it is an impossible exercise. So I had attended a workshop with Swami Chinmayananda, whom I am an ardent devotee of, and that was 25 years ago. And at that time, he was telling us about introspection. And he told us that, you cannot suddenly quieten the mind. You cannot. So, no matter what you try to do, there's no magic cure. The mind has to be harnessed, the mind has to be trained, the mind has to be kept under control, and there is no magic stick. There's no magic exercise that can do it for you. You have to learn to do it on every single day basis. And that's where I learned a lot about reflection. And I would like to make you all see how fuzzy our thinking has become, because that's an exercise I do often. So I'm today just sharing with you all, what I think has been going through in my mind, and how I have been separating layers of consciousness and going from this doing all the time doing, hyperactively running around to achieve this or that I forgot priorities. And I suddenly sat back and I thought, let me take some exercises in getting my life onto the second innings. Not because of age, because I just got time to redefine my life. So I did few exercises, and which is what I'm going to share with you all. And we are all the time thinking, and then we are analyzing our thoughts, and that's about where we end. But we are not going one layer beyond that to connect to our deeper consciousness. What we connect through our therapies is still the subconscious, it's still not the deeper consciousness. But we cannot, because we are so much into the frontal cortex, into the mind, that quietening the mind is what we call meditation, and that's about the layer we can explore. We haven't managed to go a little beyond that and a little beyond that. Some of us have. We have mastered the art, those who have diligently been putting in work. So I just want to today work on just being and discovering who I was when I started my journey. So there's a story about a little child who goes to a departmental store, which is very fancy, and just wants to buy one ball. And that's about all that the child wants to buy. The child is taken to the store, to the counter where there are balls. The child is given an option. He picks up one ball, but now he's got his eyes set on some other toys. And he starts crying. He says, I want this also, this also, this also. The mother says, no, at this point of time, you cannot. So let's go back and we'll see later. Now, the child, when he entered the shop, just wanted one ball. That's about it. That was his only requirement. Had he not seen the other things, had he not got overstimulated, he would have been a happy kid if somebody had just brought the ball and given it to him. But that exposure of the store gave him so many more desires. He came back home. Not only was he unhappy with the ball, but he kept on crying every single day to go back to the store. And I guess that's what's happened to all of us. When we started, when we became adults, we had journeys of life. We started them with some goals in our mind. And when we went out into the world, the goals suddenly, prolifically multiplied. And they became so many. And that's what we are doing. We are running after one or the other thing. It's not only dissatisfying, it's not only creating restlessness, it's also creating ungratefulness for what we have. I realized this for myself, right? So when we entered the field of psychotherapy, we enter, or I had entered with a goal of bringing the import of philosophy and psychology together to the world. When I come in, what I see is what's selling, you know and was philosophy selling? Was psychology selling? Was psychophilosophy selling? Was healing selling? Was energy work selling? What's it that was selling? Okay. And for a moment, I staggered. I'm talking about my journey 25, 28 years back. For a moment, I staggered. And until I started becoming dissatisfied with my work, and I realize, I mean, I'm getting all the rewards, people are loving what I do, it's making changes to people, but I wasn't satisfied. So I started writing down a journal, and I started reviewing my work, and I do that every time. Like even now, I review most of my cases. So I started reviewing after every case, and I realized that this was more of my conviction, and this is more of what the client wanted or what is going on in the market. And I realized I've become this concoction of, all the therapies that are going on, and I'm trying to introduce in my work different kinds of therapies which I don't necessarily believe in. That went on for 2 years of my initial journey. My journey is 25 years into this field. For 2 to 3 years, I went shopping. I went like every possible workshop. I did every possible learning. I tried to integrate it. I was getting fantastic results. The feedbacks were good, but that wasn't me. It it wasn't giving me that kind of completion. And then I sat down with myself and I realized that although that work is great, but it's not for me. It's not what I desired to do. It's not what I had set out to do. That does not align to my values or what I had set out to do. While the other person could have another different set of values, but that is the time I sat back and I realized. And then I started dropping one after the other, one after the other. And I retained only what was aligned to my core values. And I did that for the longest time possible. A lot of temptations came in, a lot of diversions came in, a lot of bigger and bigger platforms came into me. That, had I like, to the extent that because we people are who we are even given political platforms on which we can go and talk. But that was all the distractions and diversions that came. And I started holding on to my being, and I continuously did exercises in my being so that I don't lose a sight of that. Even now, I'm 25 years into the field. There's not a day I do not ask myself, what could I have done better in this case? How could I have handled it better? How could I have aligned it better? So I'm just going to take you all through certain processes that really help me even today. And that when I sit down to do, I realize again the layers are getting all mixed up and fuzzy. And just helping you all to see one of the experiences that shook me. Small little exercise it was, just done for half an hour to 45 minutes, but it showed me something. It told me something about the way the mind functions. So I'm going to share that with you all now. And I'm going to be asking you all certain questions, right? On basis of that. Before that, if anybody has a question, we can take them now before we go on to the next segment.
Do people have any question? If you have any question, just let me know. Put up your hand and I will unmute you. Or you can put the question in the chat.
Okay, I have some messages on the chat, which is,
Yes.
yeah,
Uh,
it's not clear, it's very low.
that was right in the beginning. Right
Ah,
now, all
okay,
the voice is
all
okay.
right, all right. Right. So since we don't have much substance for questions right now, I'm going to share a screen with you all.
Kirti, Shahina, yeah.
Sure,
I
sure.
just request you to please repeat the instructions that we need to follow.
Nothing. There are no instructions.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. Anu, can you make me the host so I can share the screen
You will, I'll just give you the, yes, you can
to the
share the screen now.
participant?
You can share the screen now.
Okay, fine. Okay. Can we all see this screen?
Yes, we can see the screen right now.
So now all of us are looking at this picture. I want you all to tell me, what do you see, what do you feel, and what do you think? Any one volunteer can begin. Anyone who's ready can unmute and start.
Yeah, she's a confident woman.
No, what do you see? Let's go by the layers. Okay. What do you see?
Face of a woman.
Okay. And
Smile.
okay.
She's wearing single earring.
That's what you see. Yeah. And
And she seems to be
Beautiful, kind
happy.
eyes.
beautiful, kind eyes is what you see or what you think?
I'm seeing it.
How? You're seeing eyes.
Yeah,
You're thinking they're beautiful.
yeah, probably. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's try this again. What do you see?
Her features are very symmetric, like her face is in a proper symmetry.
Right. And what do you think?
She is smiling, that's all.
Yeah, what do you think?
She has a certain honesty about her face.
That's what you think. Great. And
A very directness, something as if she would very directly connect with people.
all right, that's what you think. What do you
And
I see that she, I think when I see that she looks to be a very honest person.
That's what you feel. That's what you think. That's not what you see. You just see a face with hair. You see a face which has eyebrows, slightly brown eyes. You see teeth which are which are parted. You see lips which are parted, revealing the teeth. You see the earring. The rest is you think.
Are there two pictures merged?
No, it's just one picture.
Oh.
Okay.
So tell me now, what do you feel?
What do I feel? I feel that she is smiling. She's looking at the world. And I feel that she is restrained in what she's showing and what she's feeling.
That's what you think.
Yes.
That's what you think. What
Yes.
do you feel?
Pleasing face to look at.
Okay, you feel pleasing. Okay.
Yeah, like a very pleasant face to look at.
Yeah.
Nothing
I feel
off.
I feel someone very approachable and congenial.
Okay, you feel she's approachable and congenial. That's what you think.
Still need to figure out thinking and feeling.
Kind, her eyes show kindness.
That's what you think.
I think she is happy about something.
You feel she's happy.
Yes.
That's what you think.
Yeah, feel and see and think. Yeah.
So tell me what you feel.
I feel happy when I look at her.
All right, that's a feeling.
Yeah.
All right. Anybody else? What do you feel? All right, let's go on to the next picture. So we repeat exercise. What do you see? What do you think? And what do you feel?
Trying to recollect something.
No, what do you
From a
see?
visual
Go to the
reference.
first player. What do you
I
see?
see a man. I see a man. And I see a man looking in bewildered into the sky. I see a man.
You see a man looking into the sky. Bewildered is think.
I beg your pardon?
You see a man looking into the sky.
Well, I see his eyeballs going up.
Right. So when you say bewildered, that's a thought added.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
You're right.
I feel this man is, surprised, or maybe is thinking something.
You feel.
Okay, I feel. Okay.
I see that he's wearing a white shirt.
Yeah.
And I see that he is not Indian.
That's what you think.
Okay. Then I see his haircut. I see his ears, and I see he's wearing a blazer.
Great. That's what you see.
And he also seems to be surrounded by people. Like there seem to be other people around him.
I see his flared nostril.
Mamta.
I see his flared nostril.
You feel the flared nostrils?
I see.
I see the flared nostrils. What do
I feel, is it?
Now we are on I think. Tell me.
Okay.
I see his eyes up.
Okay.
And the mouth open.
Right.
And I feel he's surprised or thinking.
That's what you feel?
He's surprised or he's thinking.
That's what you think or that's what you feel?
I think. Okay, feel. Okay, feel.
No.
So I think
I feel he's angry.
Okay.
No.
You feel he's angry is what you think.
so. I think he is surprised.
Yeah.
and just looking in, like, that's what I think. And I feel he is like, God, how can this happen to me?
I think he's in awe of something.
Hmm.
Feel in awe of something.
All right. So now let's come to the third layer. What do you feel?
No, well, I don't feel anything looking at him.
Okay, great.
Yeah,
Anybody
even
else?
I feel very neutral. Like, yeah, he's just there.
Okay. Anybody else with a feeling?
I feel this person has no integrity.
That's what you think.
I mean, he seems to be. It feels to be that way. I mean, I can't think that. My feeling when I look at him is like I wouldn't really trust this person easily.
That's what you think, no?
Is that a thought? I don't know. I mean, it's a
What do you feel?
I feel curious.
Yeah. You feel curious. Okay.
I feel like he's like, God save me.
I think he's saying he's asking for help is what I think.
Yeah, I feel he's helpless.
I think he's helpless, okay.
I feel comfortable.
I feel comfortable, yeah. Okay. Now imagine you were looking at a picture of yourself. Okay. And do the same exercise. What do you do? Don't tell us because it will be difficult for all of us. But look at yourself in a possible mirror around you. If you have a picture of yourself on your phone, look at it and see what you think, see what you see, what you think, and what you feel.
Your voice is cracking.
Yeah, see what you think. Can you hear me?
Yes.
See what you are seeing in the picture with just clear objectivity of seeing only. And then looking at your own picture, what do you think? And now, looking at your own picture, what do you feel? All right. And somebody can share their experiences with.
Okay, go ahead, Archana.
Yeah.
I am looking at a face of a lady, and I really feel I need to go to a parlor.
Okay, I
think I really need to go to a parlor, and I'm not feeling very beautiful about myself right now.
Not feeling beautiful about yourself. Okay, great. So as you continue, anybody else has to share something that is.
Yes, go ahead, Nutan.
Yeah.
So I see a woman. I think she is ready to learn, and I feel happy looking at her.
All right. So this is clear distinction. So as you will
Can I?
see, yeah, please.
Yeah. Looking at a woman with glasses.
Yeah.
Little bit of gray hair.
Right.
Good skin. Trimmed hair.
Right.
I feel that with all this, she's beautiful and kind.
That's thinking.
Yeah, thinking.
Yeah.
And right now, I think she's in a very good place.
Okay, that's thinking. If you're feeling now.
I feel beautiful from within, content.
Right.
I feel I do want to learn more.
That's thinking.
Yeah. And I'm enjoying what I'm learning.
Okay. So that's it.
And feeling.
Yeah. So if you all will see what's happening, the seeing, feeling, thinking is so fuzzy.
Yeah.
That we are, so the seeing is the body, the thinking is the mind, and the feeling is the mind, and the thinking is the intellect. Right? But in us, the processes are so fused up that even when I'm feeling and thinking, I'm doing it both together. I'm not able to distinguish, or we are not able to often distinguish that what are we feeling and what are we thinking. We put the two together and we are often reacting to the world around us. But if only you were to do an exercise that would separate these layers, and that would give you a razor's sharpness in the way you process yourself. If you are able to discriminate and separate these discriminating faculties of the mind, body, intellect, you're going to be able to bring your mind or your own mental equipment and caliber to a level where giving in to emotions, acting out of emotions, acting out of impulses, acting out of irrational thinking is going to become better and better. The more these layers are separated, the better you become at it. So this is what I wanted you all to experience. And this exercise was done with us, around 20 years back. And after that, I've gone around years. Every time I look at something, I try to, okay, this is what I see, this is what I think, this is what I feel. And whenever it comes to feeling, there's a whole lot of problem. The thinking part of it is like, okay, because I'm predominantly somebody who's a thinker, so I can get the thinking part of it right. I can never get the feeling part of it right. And there are yet others who can get the feeling very quickly, that okay, I feel good.
Your voice has disappeared. Your voice has disappeared. uh Kirti, your voice is gone. Kirti, your voice is gone.
Anu, I think she can't hear you.
Yeah, she'll reconnect maybe.
Yeah, she has the headphones. So
Kirti, your voice is gone. Kirti, your voice is not there. Kirti, your voice is not there in the last 5 minutes.
Yeah, I know. Anu, I'm muted.
Okay, now you've come back.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Okay. So again, I'll repeat myself. So the thinking and the feeling layers is what is the entire basic premise of all mental stresses and illnesses. If only we were to do this practice diligently and regularly, not only this is what meditation helps you to do. The meditation helps you to separate these two layers. So when you are taught in meditation that watch your thoughts pass by. So who's watching? The intellect. Now watch yourself, watch the thought pass by. So I'm going to just run through a 2 minutes exercise with you all, okay? Just to help you all understand the layers of the consciousness that we have, so that you know what the being layer that I talk about is, okay? So just keep your eyes closed for a moment. And as you keep your eyes closed, get aware of all the thoughts in your mind right now. Just become aware. And watch all the thoughts pass by as though they are parading in front of you. You are watching all your thoughts parade right in front of you. Be aware of these two faculties. Everybody mute yourself. You are becoming aware.
Geeta, could you please mute yourself?
Okay. Everyone just become aware of these two faculties within your mind where you are watching your thoughts pass by. And now you are becoming aware that you are watching your thoughts pass by. There is yet another layer. You are watching your thoughts pass by. Become aware of these three faculties within your own mind. It's you are watching your thoughts pass by. And now, become aware of a stillness which is watching all this happen. There's a stillness which is watching you watch your thoughts pass by. Become aware of the stillness watching you watch your thoughts pass by. That stillness is the being. It's just watching everything happen. That stillness is where you started your journey. That stillness is where you are, who you are. And whenever you want, you can gently come to the awakening of this room. Right. So just a couple of people, if they could share their experiences.
Please raise your hands up so that I can unmute you. Who would like to share? Please raise your hands up so that I can, on the Zoom, please raise your hand up. Okay, there are 2 participants.
Yeah.
Let's go with Dr. Manorama. Would you like to share?
There was quite stillness when I did this, and actually speaking, there was I could not sense anything. I mean, it was all still for me.
That's a beautiful experience.
Yeah.
That's the experience of being. Yeah. Anyone else who can share?
Please go ahead.
Yeah, there are three different aspects of it.
Yes.
The being, the person who is watching, the thoughts. So 3 different aspects of it.
Yeah.
So the first aspect is when you said the being, then that being is thoughtless.
True.
And that thoughtless being is watching a person who is again watching the thoughts.
True.
So it's what happens in this is you completely, taken away from what is from the drama, and you're just
Yeah. So how was this exercise for you, Mamta?
Can I
Pardon?
share?
Pardon?
Exercise for you.
We'll give everybody a
I
chance.
couldn't hear it.
How was the exercise for you?
Beautiful. And basically you see what it is. You don't perceive.
Exactly. It's like a good experience to go through. Yeah, somebody else was asking, can I share?
Yes, Shahina, can you go ahead? There are 5 or 6 people. I'll
Yes.
just call out your names. I will give
Hi.
everybody a chance, guys. Just put your hands up.
I can't see the
So,
option.
Kirti, in the beginning, I was when you instructed there's just see the thoughts pass by. So I was fine till there, but after that when you gave second instruction to pay attention to it, suddenly all thoughts disappear. Only 1 or 2 thoughts I can think of.
Right.
So there was not much thought. So I was not so sure whether I am going on right track with the session or I'm lost. And then it was quiet still completely.
Yeah, so you were going right, China. That was the
Okay.
Wonderful. So we
So
have
it was very calming and soothing experience.
Yeah, thank you. That was wonderful.
Excellent. Let's go to the next person, Shraddha Parikh.
Hi. The thing is, I experienced, for your guided voice, I experienced the stillness, and it was beautiful. It's just, how do I don't know, that whether it was in layers, as you said, that I was observing the person observing the thoughts, that I could not compartmentalize.
That doesn't
But the still, once you said there is stillness, and exactly that thing was there, like the way you were guiding, I was getting guided accordingly. It's just I'm not able to compartmentalize.
No worries, no worries. As long as you got to the stillness. The
Yeah.
whole world
Wonderful.
is that.
Let's go to the next person, Dr. Nutan. I will be giving everybody a chance. Just put on the chat, or if you want to talk.
Yeah, Nutan.
So, yes, so I have a question. Uh, does that mean uh, the person who is looking at thoughts is different, and the third thing, I mean, seeing, thinking, feeling, and the last thing is stillness. Is that
Yeah.
clear? Because I was stuck thinking about this thing.
I got your point. So these layers in the consciousness are our identifications. We identify with the body, we identify with the mind, then we go on and identify with our decisions, which is the intellect, then we identify with the subconscious, then we somewhere get so entangled that we never reach the superconscious. Okay, so I was just trying to make you all see the layers in which we are entangled all the time. But in effect, if we were to give up these entanglements, we would be on stillness. And every time you want to check in your life where you're going, you need to do this exercise to just check whether the stillness is coming to you. From that still perspective, observe your decisions. From that still perspective, observe yourself. And you don't need to even ask a question. You will be able to see the entire mental dramatics that's happening right in front of you. So that's
Ah.
what I mean by going back to the being. So
We
the
have,
mental conflicts that we live through keep us away.
Basically, you're watching your own dramas, right?
Exactly.
there is one more person who wants to share. I can't get her name. It's just showing as iPhone. So please unmute yourself and speak. And she's put the message in the chat. I would like to share. Whoever this person is.
Yeah. So
What's your
when,
name, my darling? What's your name?
yeah, Kejal.
Okay.
Yeah. So when you were telling us to do this exercise, there was only one thing I was not able to reach to the second, and only one thing is just running in my mind, a thought that I'm not able to serve good for my daughter. I have just given a birth. It's like just 3.5 months old she is, and
Right.
I'm not able to take care of her. That's the only thought going in my mind. I am not able to do anything for her. That's what is just going,
So
and I'm just stuck over there.
got it. So the word doing comes in again. If you're so much, I'm not able to do anything good for her. So you're so entangled in the doing.
Okay.
And if you were just to let go of this doing and go back to being just a mother and let everything else fall into place. Just connect to the mother inside you and connect to that person who's just in that space, and that's about it, and observe yourself. Don't do anything. The rest, everything will start happening and falling in place on its own. So, Kejal, a lot of anxiety about parenting can happen to all of us, especially when we have younger children and maybe compelling circumstances. But at that point of time, you have to look at what is your being. From the perspective of the being a mother, that's about you need to connect to that deeper core of the mother in you.
Okay.
Okay? So this is
Yeah.
an entanglement, which you can see.
Okay.
Right?
Okay. Yeah.
So
Thank
we'll
you.
go on to the next part. Thank you, everyone.
I would also like to share that Doreen has shared on the chat that it was such a simple exercise. Doreen, would you like to share yourself?
Sure.
Yeah, I think what I really liked about it is in no time, I think a lot of us were able to go to a space of not having any thoughts. I think, I don't remember the last time I went blank in such a short time.
All right.
So it was very good.
Lovely. Thank you. So this is what I mean by continuously taking a journey down your being. And the more we do this, the lesser our entanglements are going to be. And you will realize that a lot of needs will drop off. So this is a pause time, the pause of the epidemic, the pause of the pandemic. Let us drop down what is not necessary. Let's go forward from here lighter. We'll go swifter. We'll go farther. But this is a moment where we need to reflect upon what is that big list that we made at the departmental store on our trip, which was not needed. So I'm going to now, this is the final 20 minutes of an exercise, which I simply love. And I think it's hugely insightful, is where I think that we stop connecting to our being when we lose values. So what do I mean by values? Values is something that you are given, and each one of us is born with different set of values. There are some universal values like honesty, truthfulness, and etc., etc. But yet there are some set of values that each one of us has at an independent level that are our guiding forces. Whenever we digress from our values, that's the time we take on other agendas, and that concocts the entire picture. That gives us like differential goals, and we are running after temporary goals, and we are forgetting the permanency of our goals. So I'm going to be taking you all through a guided imagery which is going to get you all in touch with your values, and from this moment onwards just redesign your life if it's needed. Okay, I'm not saying that everyone needs to do it. Many of us have been working on ourselves and already have so much clarity that we may not need that clarity. But those of us who want to take this little pause and just redefine our life in a smallest, simplest possible way, let's get on with this. So everyone on mute. And it's a simple guided imagery, nothing complicated. It's a visualization that I'm going to take you through. So I want you all to imagine that you're going off into a very distant land, far away, where nature is at its beautiful best. Perfect time of the day, perfect time of the year. And you're walking. And who do you see is coming from the opposite side? You see your favorite TV anchor coming from the opposite side. And you greet, you're so happy to see this anchor because you watch so many of this anchor shows and you simply love them. And while you greet your anchor decides to do a TV show for you. Gestures you to follow the anchor, and you follow the anchor into a radio programming room. It's an audio visual program, and this anchor has already collected so much information on you through their team that you're surprised. There is a documentary on your life that this anchor is doing, and there is a show reel. So first the anchor invites you to watch the show reel. You're looking up at the screen and there's a voiceover about your life that's going on along the show reel. That talks about what kind of a person have you been? how you've led your life, what is the success story that you have woven for yourself, all up on the show reel for you. What have been the major failures in your life? And as the show reel ends, the anchor gets into an interview with you. The anchor is trying to ask you now a very pointed question. The anchor is asking you, how have you managed the anxieties, challenges, and limitations in your life? Find yourself answering the anchor. What kind of role have you played as a child, as a partner, and as a friend? Try to answer as honestly as you can. And now, the anchor is asking you a very significant question. What has been most important to you in your life? And as you answer that, the show comes to an end. And as the show comes to an end, we mentally fast forward you from here to 5 years later. 5 years from today. Anchor with a little bit of gray hair, you slightly older than where you were, back into the newsroom, yet another show. Yet a new show reel for you. In these 5 years, how have you managed your life? What kind of a person you have been? What have been your success stories that you have created for yourself? And as the show reel ends, The anchor asks you for an interview based question where the anchor is asking you, how have you managed your life, your anxieties, and your challenges now in the last 5 years? The anchor now wants to know the next question. What kind of role plays have you done being a child, a parent, a partner, a friend, a colleague? How have you essayed all your roles? And now the anchor wants to know the most significant question of the show. How have you handled things, matters which were most important to you? And as you answer, you thank the anchor for this opportunity. The anchor thanks you for your presence on the show. And slowly, you can come back to the awakening of this room. Whenever ready, we are ready to hear from you.
You can start writing in the chat box as well as raise your hands.
Yeah, if there's some questions, we can take them now.
Yeah. So if you have any questions, raise your hands. You can put your experience down in the chat box.
Thank you, Dr. Rashi. I just saw your message. Okay, I saw myself well organized, which was not there. That's Ashish. So any questions, guys?
For me, I felt a beautiful exercise to do. Really made you sit back and think a little bit about the past and future. But then also, there is one sentence I really work a lot with, is there are only 2 days in the year that nothing can be done. One is called yesterday and the other is called tomorrow.
Sure.
So for me, I'm very much a person in the present.
Lovely.
And what is happened is gone, it's finished, you know, it's, I don't go back in life. And yeah, but it's a nice exercise to do. It makes you go back, you know, even though I'm not a person who goes back, and I don't go forward either. I mean, I just am here today.
You're here
And,
today, right?
yeah,
That's beautiful.
but it's really fantastic. Thank you.
Most welcome, Enza. All right.
There's some messages written which are very interesting. Important message I received is go with the flow and trust God. That's Shahina. Salma is saying, I feel good about myself. Dr. Nutan is saying, thank you for the wonderful experience. It just boosted my self-love and respect. I'm truly grateful for each and amazing experience. Sumita Mendirata said, guided imagery, wonderful experience to connect with myself. Thanks, Kirti.
All right, great. So this was just
I would like to share something.
Sure.
Amita this side. Ma'am, initially when I saw in the starting, it was like with fear in me. I was not taking up my responsibilities and taking up the actions in a proper way. So
Right.
when you have taken me that think about 5 years further and I added confidence to myself, and I saw myself dealing with the things with the flow, with the presence of mind. And when I take responsibility, I feel that I can handle things better, because whatever I am doing, I am responsible for that, no one else.
Wonderful. So that's a core value. That's your core value. If you hold on to that core value, you will be in your state of being. So values are your roots to your being. And each one of us has different core values, which we somewhere digress from. And that's what causes this whole restlessness. Yeah. Thank you so much for this. Thank you for sharing.
So Harsha is saying, I realized that I can do everything.
Wonderful.
Yeah. So any questions that you need to ask, please put your hands, raise your hands up so that I can unmute you and you can ask the question. Yeah, this is an opportunity. Tick, 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 tick. One. Tick, 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 tick.
It's an experience, So actually they can't be questions.
Yeah.
Simply because, it's been more experiential. Yes. So people would be more in their space, kind of trying to evaluate how things were for them. And so
I realized that where I'm supposed to improve, and it was a great experience. Thanks.
Yes. So good.
Wonderful.
So if we don't have any questions, can we call it the end of the session, Anu?
Absolutely. Can we do card reading for you if that's okay? We're not doing card reading, we're doing Kauri reading for you.
Okay, perfect.
Binaifa, are you there? Binaifa, are you there?
Anu, give me 2 minutes because I'm
take 2 minutes.
Around
so what
11.
I'm doing is I am just taking the